Hey y'all, Greg, I sent you a request to become a speaker. It flashes on the screen really fast. So if you just click on the bottom left request button or toggle, I will approve you becoming a speaker. It's really faster that way. Hey John, glad to see you join us, and I will be calling on you shortly, John, for those awesome stories. Hey Donna.
Hey, Gary. Hi, John. Hi, Craig.
Hey Craig, can you hear us?
Yes, Peaches. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. Please meet Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Apart from a bit tired, but it's all okay.
What?
Hey, John.
What time is
Sorry.
it? 12:30 there, Donna. In
It
are you?
is.
Oh wow.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in. And Craig, I'm real excited to interview you tonight. So, welcome to your very first space interview. And I'm going to let you know that Brian is normally my co host, but Donna has graciously accepted the role today because Brian is having fun in New York right now.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he took his daughter there for a graduation present, and they're going to a Broadway show tonight. So he is missed, but we're glad to have Donna. Well, let me give you a proper introduction, Greg. I'm so happy you joined us tonight. And Greg has 5 WPT caches with 2 final tables totaling over 189,000. He has 44 WSOP caches and 7 circuit caches for over 880,000. Greg has 1 WSOP ring for taking down the WSOP No Limit High Roller at the Bicycle Casino in 2015. His best live cash is over 301K for a second place finish in the WSOP 10K Horse Championship. Um, I'm I'm going to welcome you again, Greg, and I'm going to ask you if you can tell us how you got started in poker.
Yeah, I can. And are you saying Greg or Craig? Because a lot of people
Craig,
say
Craig,
Craig.
Craig.
Okay, yeah. A
Am
lot of
I
people.
saying Greg?
Uh,
Does it sound like I'm saying Greg? It's Craig, Craig.
no, it's fine. Yeah, and I just want to say my hellos to Mr. Miami John. I go back. Go back a long way with him. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good, baby. I saw you were on the show tonight, so I thought I'd hop in. I'm just
Oh,
staying at home doing
appreciate it.
nothing, so glad to hear your story. Go on with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sherry. It's kind of a it's interesting. I grew up in a little town called Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, and as a kid growing up in New Jersey, I made my occasional trip down to Atlantic City, underage, and played in some some stud games and different games when I had absolutely no idea what I was doing as a senior, in high school. And we had our own little home games, and we played, all the fun follow the queens wild, and all those crazy carnival games. And I moved out to Arizona when I was 22 with my company, and I started playing there at Casino Arizona back in 2005. I moved out there with 4 people from work. Didn't really know anybody, but found this Indian casino. It was a tennis bubble at the time. They didn't have any of the stuff they had out there. I don't know if you've been out there with the spring training complex and the Top Golf and the golf course and all that stuff now. And I started cutting it, playing 612 Omaha High Low with a kill. And I was not good. I would donate, but I was getting better and would play that a little bit. Moved out to LA back in '05 and saw they had card rooms here, Commerce, Bicycle. And the first tournament I played in was a $60 '08, and finished second in it. And I chopped for like $4,400. And I was like, wow, it's kind of like winning your first blackjack hand. And it drew me in. And I was like, this is gonna be so easy playing poker. All you do is just make money. And as a kid that moved to LA no money. I was like, this is amazing.
The
So
stars were born in the eyes, as they say.
yeah. So that was my start. And then I progressively picked up the volume. In my mid 20s, it was actually really, really funny. I haven't told this story to many people, but I think I was about 25 or 26, and I was playing some tournaments, just buried in credit card debt, still hadn't had a lick in my account, and the Legends of Poker was starting. I think this was like either the '05 or '06 Legends of Poker. You could see, it was one of my first major cashes. I found $1,000 in credit card room on one of my credit cards, and this was back in the day when the bike was taking credit cards still before they stopped taking credit cards. It worked out perfectly. I pre-regged the tournament. It was I think it was a 1K no limit, and I never played no limit. I was always 08 at that point, and it was a 1-day tournament. I bluffed off literally 80% of my stack within the first hour into like I think a set of jacks. And the next thing I knew, I was heads up with someone at about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, playing for 72,000, and I doubled up through him twice. And he goes, "Do you want a chip chop?" No idea what that was. It was probably about my fifth tournament at the time, and he kind of explained it to me, and they ran the numbers, and I ended up getting forget. I think we were playing for like 100. I think I got like 72 of it, and the rest was
That's
history after that.
amazing. That
Yeah,
is amazing start in poker. And that's, when you hear about people starting out in poker these days, they hire a coach or get with a coach and study for 6 months and, they're on their way. And you really came up through the ranks.
yeah, yeah. There was I'm not much of a studier. I never was growing up. College, high school wasn't my thing. I probably have some undiagnosed ADHD because I have trouble, focusing on stuff. But I never studied. I was always my studying was playing at the table, playing live, playing with
Right.
people that were better than me, seeing and emulating the people that were better than me, and figuring out what style fit me the best. Because you see a lot of people play a lot of different styles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that specific person can play that style because they're not comfortable doing it. You see it in sports all the time. Certain teams in boxing, someone will fight a certain style of boxing, but it doesn't fit someone else because they're just not comfortable doing it. It's like someone that likes to bluff a lot. They're comfortable doing it. Someone may not like to bluff a lot because they don't feel comfortable having
Right.
someone stare them down on the river or do that stuff. So I started playing with probably people that were a lot better than me. Started playing at the LAPC. Started playing some mixed cash, and that's kind of when I learned the mixed games. The stud games, the draw games, stuff like that. I was a habitual donator, but I knew I was getting better because I was playing with a lot better draw players than me and a lot better stud players than me. And eventually I knew if I wasn't stubborn about it and I took the ego out of it, I would learn and I would, get better to the point where I'd be able to compete and win. So that's,
Well, and now, from the looks of your hand and mob entries, you are the master of those mixed games because you have 171 hand and mob entries, and a majority of them are mixed events. And so, tell us do you have a favorite game?
I seem to fare the best in horse, and horse is a 5 game rotation. It's or now they play it in heroes format. They changed the format a little bit, but it's a 5 game rotation of limit hold'em, Omaha 8 or better, Raz, stud, and stud 8. And I just I might not play every game very well, but I play them all very consistently. Where you're not going to find someone that plays 5 games at a very very high level, except for the super pros, and there's some pros that play every game very very well. But that's kind of where I started playing the mixed was horse tournaments, And if you look early in my, in my Hendon mob, it's a lot of horse. It's a lot of Omaha 8.
Absolutely.
Then it progressed to horse and a little bit in draw games and stuff like that. But they just, I just gravitated towards them, over No Limit. When I go to the series, I'll always try and play a mixed tournament over a No Limit tournament, and then No Limit would be kind of the backup. It just seems it's a more jovial, atmosphere. It's just, limit games are just different. It's just, I mean, shoot, what game can you draw 5 cards, and get 5 new
Right.
cards? It's just
Right.
like,
Right.
it's just
Right.
fun. Yeah, it's just fun. So
Well, and I appreciate that glimpse into how you've gotten started and what you enjoy in the world of poker. I need to do a little housekeeping and thank our sponsor, Elevator Results. Many thanks to them. And if you need a tailor made workout program due to injuries or health or otherwise, Elevator Results can help you lose weight or gain weight. Check out their Twitter account or their webpage at elevatorresultspt.com, and please give them a follow on Twitter. That being said, we met last week for the first time, and I was very happy to be at your table because we had a blast at that table. And we met at the Savage Average Tournament in Kennewick, Georgia, Kennewick, Washington. A shout out to Chris Johnson, Justin Hammer, and our favorite Spaces Towley, Matt Savage, for a great series and opening of the Desert Bluffs Poker Room. Can you talk about the Savage Average Tournament and maybe tell our listeners what the basic differences of that structure are than our normal no limit tournaments?
yeah, so the Savage Average is basically, it's supposed to get deeper at the right parts of the tournament, and you see a lot of tournaments. They start off very deep, and then they get shallower and shallower, in spots where you kind of want them to be a little bit deeper, where there's a little bit more play. So you're able to be very patient, playing in a Savage Average tournament. I never felt like I was in a rush to get all my chips in. Even when I lost a few pots early, it was still like, all right, we got like 25-ish, 20 big blinds. Like there's not a ton of rush here to try and make a move or chip up. At the final table, Toby, who won ended up winning the tournament. At one point, I think he was the shortest stack with 6 people left, and because of the structure, he was able to kind of move up, take his time, and he ended up beating me heads up. And I think it's a good format. It just gives you a lot of play and a lot of time to see hands and figure out a strategy that you kind of want to implement.
I really enjoyed it. I'm a big proponent of it now, and I haven't really I didn't dive into the numbers and all the intricacies of it, but as a player, just sitting down and playing it the first time, I really enjoyed it. Even when you took my very last chip to be able to go to that final table, I still enjoyed it.
I'm sorry, Peaches.
It's
I'm sorry.
okay. We had a blast that day, and congrats for coming in second. You used my chips wisely, and that's awesome. Donna, do you have some questions for Craig?
Yeah, so what do you find more interesting about mixed games to No Limit Hold'em?
Donna, it's just a different thought process. You see a No Limit, you see all these really high level guys that are really good at the game, and people joke around that No Limit's solved, and there's this solver poker versus street poker, and it's hard. It's very hard to solve draw games. It's very hard to solve stud games. There's a lot of intricacies, you know, of like, say stud, because you have 4 cards up. A lot of the hand is face up, and you're just trying to figure out, okay, well, this person doesn't have this card because that person folded that on this street, and it's a lot of card memorization. When you're playing draw games, you have to remember what cards you're pitching, because they could potentially give you some information on what's in your opponent's hand. And it's just a fun alternate to, to playing no limit, where it's like, hey, I got the aces in against, fours. I was 80x%, and I lost, and my tournament was over. So, if you're playing a mixed game because it's limit, you can take a couple different bad beats, and it's only going to cost you one bet. On the river, if someone sucks out on you or something like that. So there's a lot more kind of flexibility with regards to the variance in mixed games that you don't really have in no limit. Like no limits, your lights could be turned out at any point on any street in any hand. And the joke is in like a horse tournament or like a mixed game tournament is like, how'd you bust before registration closed? If you have to rebuy, because it's a limit game and you're only losing one bet at a time.
Thank you for that. And do you find that there's more mixed game tournaments now than there was in the past?
I do feel like people are trying to promote them more, which is great. Florida has a great series. The Hard Rock does a great job promoting mixed games down there. Justin and Matt always, try and promote the mixed games as best they can. And Ben Irwin up at Thunder Valley, they do a great job. I think I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation. There's Groton, I think, is where Justin is right now, or
It's
in
great.
California.
It's great. Yeah,
Grayton.
it's great.
There. All right, thanks, Peaches. But they have like a mixed game kind of all around player of the series, I think, that they're putting up this time around. So I think, I think it is being promoted, better, and I think the turnouts are definitely showing that. They did a Badoogie tournament for the first time last WSOP, and I think the numbers for the World Series completely took them off guard with how many people played that Badoogie tournament, because of the price point. A lot of no limit players were curious, and they tried it out. A couple of my no limit buddies were like, "Wow, this is a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun." And they got a great number for that. This year they're trying a 10K Big O, which is five card Omaha High Low. So they've added some stuff to the schedule this year, and I think the card rooms are definitely doing what they can to promote them.
And let's not forget player. Um, let's see. Alan Kessler's doing a mixed game series at Caesars, and Card Player is doing a mixed game series as well. So I think the MGM didn't. I'm pretty sure Sean said they were upping their mixed game um, like amount of tournaments this year too. So I think the mixed game players are going to be really happy this summer with the amount of tournaments available.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, Sherry. Between the Orleans and Alan Caesar series before the WSOP in mid-May, and MGM, I think there's not going to be a shortage of mixed game tournaments to play this summer. That's for sure.
Right on. Right on. Now I see your friend Adam showed up, and I always try when I see somebody have a question for our guests, I always try to make sure that we ask that question. And Adam asked under the retweet you did of my initial tweet about you coming to interview us with us. He asked if you were gonna, give a flop shot lesson. You want to give us a little insight to that?
Yeah. So Adam and I have played a decent amount of golf together. He worked at a golf course in Vegas, and everyone that plays with me will tell you I'm not a good golfer. I'm capable of hitting good shots one by one, but I can't really hit a lot of good consistent shots. But what I've learned to do is somehow hit one of the hardest shots in the game fairly consistent, which is a flop shot. And basically what that is you take a very high degree wedge, which is a 64, 68 degree wedge around the green. You open up the club face, you take a swing, and the ball just goes really high in the air, but it doesn't go very far, and it just lands very softly on the green. And I'm a very high handicap, which is not a good golfer, and people see me hit the shot, and they just they kind of look at me and they're like, "Well, where'd you learn to do that?" I was like, "I don't know. I just kind of taught myself. It was just like poker. I really haven't taken golf lessons. I kind of just tried to put it together, by myself." So
I love it.
that is the art. Yeah, that is the art of the flop shot that Adam is talking about. And Adam is a fantastic golfer in his own right. So I'm sure he can hit his own flop shot. But
Well, so in other words, Adam was trolling you, and I had to play into that.
I know. Adam was trolling. Yeah, Adam was
I love
trolling.
it. I love it,
Yeah.
Adam. We welcome trolling in these parts. I wanted to talk about. Um, do you have any good advice, or any advice that you would, um, or good advice for a new player, or any mistakes that you would like to point out that new players typically make?
Yeah. It comes down to, like I said, it comes down to creating a style that you're comfortable playing and sticking to that, and adapting to your table. And I think I heard Chance Cornith say this randomly on Twitter. He said something like, if someone's throwing rock a lot, throw paper. If someone's throwing scissors, throw a rock. Um, so you want to make in-game adjustments, just like you would in sports. If you're playing a basketball game at halftime and one thing's not working, you don't want to come out and do that same thing in the second half, because it's probably still not going to work because it didn't work in the first half. So if you find yourself in a little bit of trouble, making in-game adjustments is the best advice that I can give, because everything's not going to go to plan. Like, you're not going to have the exact players that you want at your table that play the style that you want to play against. Every hand is not going to go your way. And I think an important thing to do is, if you do take a bad beat, kind of dust it off. If you still have chips left, get back to work, and not to compound, that bad beat into doing something else that you wouldn't have normally done. Or just in general, if you make a mistake and you made a mistake, not to compound a mistake by, like, okay, I gotta get those chips back next hand. I'm gonna get a little aggressive here that I normally don't do. I'm gonna three bet a hand I don't normally three bet. It's okay to mix it up sometimes, but you don't want to compound mistakes and cost yourself even more chips. You kind of just want to have a short-term memory. It's important, and just move on and figure out the best strategy to kind of. It's a long day when you're playing tournaments, so you just kind of want to figure out the best strategy to navigate your way through, and hopefully you get hot at the right time, you play well at the right time, and that's usually late in tournaments that you'll hopefully be around for.
I love that advice. Have a short term memory. You got to let it go. And for many people, and of course, when I first started out, that's a hard thing to do because it's cost you chips, and you've got to have that short term memory so you can stop the bleeding. So great advice. I appreciate that. Donna,
Yeah.
before I
Oh,
move,
sorry.
oh, that's okay. Donna, before I move on to John, did you have any other questions at this time?
No, apart from my short-term memory's fantastic. That's all I can remember. Can't remember my cards. I just remember whether I've won or not. So short-term memory, fantastic.
And it and Sherry, I'll say this: if someone's playing bad, don't feel home with it. Do not tell them they are playing bad. Let them continue play bad.
Don't
Like,
tap the glass.
don't tap the glass. If they want to get their chips in at 20, 30% equity, 15% equity, and they get there, you know what? It happens. Like, let them continue to do it, because you want the action. It's unfortunate that it didn't turn out your way. But the
Right
last
on.
thing you want to do is alert somebody that they're playing bad, and then they change their style of play completely, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
Right on. Another good piece of advice. Don't tap that glass. Let the bad player continue to play poorly. Okay, now I have to tell you that John reached out to me and said he wanted to come into this space tonight and be a speaker because he has some great stories. So, John, I'm going to turn it over to you, bud. You got to press that microphone button in the bottom left corner of your screen, and it'll turn your microphone back on, John. There you
Okay,
go.
I'm back. Well, I don't know if they're great stories, but one does. He mentioned Phil Hellmuth, so I'm going to bring that one up. But I just wanted to. I'll get back to that in a second. But he talked about this flop shop. I know nothing about golf, but I think Craig invented the flop shot in Hold'em because every time there's a flop, he's out there taking a shot at it every single time.
I
I
love
can't
it.
get him. I can't. I'm trying to get him out of my pot. He keeps on getting back in. I mean, he's a tough competitor. He really is. But Craig and I have had a lot of fun over the years. You know, we've had some good times. We've had some words with each other, but mostly good. But the story I wanted to talk about was I wanted to know Craig's feelings on this. We're sitting there. Well, it was an eight-handed final table. I believe it was horse. Craig could correct me if I'm wrong. And Craig is the chip leader. We're down to three players. Craig is the chip leader. I'm sitting, he's in the eighth seat. I'm in the sixth seat looking directly at him. And Mark Gregorich, another sensational player, is in the seventh seat. And I've got a lot of chips. Mark Gregorich is in third, and he's got a lot of chips. But Craig is dominating the both of us. He's got uh, an awful lot of chips. You know, he's got us probably 1.5 to 1. You know, so quite a few. And in walks Phil Hellmuth. So I don't know how this must have made you feel, Craig, but Hellmuth walks up. He says, "Oh my God, look at this! Miami John probably going to win another tournament. He always does." He starts talking about me in a nice way, and he says, "Oh my God!" And Mark Gregorich, another great player, and he looks at Craig and says, "I don't know who you are, buddy, but you have zero chance of winning this tournament.
Oh
No
my.
chance whatsoever." He just went right into him like
Oh,
he, he was after him. So I said, "Oh, that's good. I'll make it harder on Craig." So I wanted to ask Craig did that give you fuel for fire to beat us? Because Craig and I busted Mark together. We chipped away at him. But then uh, Craig Chait took me down in about 20 minutes. Finally, we did make some sort of a deal. He was generous about it. But he had me like almost 2.5 to 1. So how did that make you feel when Phil Hellmuth came up, Craig?
John, it's when when one of the best that is in his craft, says, "Who is this guy? I gotta show him who I am." Like, so yeah, it wasn't, I didn't think much of it. I wasn't. I was still kind of trying to crack into poker at that time. The ironic part about that is, John, the very next day, I think it was the very next day, I hopped into the my first single draw tournament, deuce to seven, and I ended up
Oh,
heading
yes. I
Phil
remember
Hellmuth,
that.
and I ended up against Phil, and I beat him heads up for the trophy. I think we had chopped, and I beat him heads up for the trophy,
How
and I
could
think
I leave that part of the story out? I forgot all about that.
that
That's
old karma thing. That
freaking
old karma
amazing.
thing.
Yeah.
I think I might have whispered to him. I said, maybe who I am now, Phil.
I'm sure he does.
I bet he hasn't forgotten.
And I'm sure you and him have made amends and are good friends.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Then there was another story where Craig was not happy with me, and I have to apologize because I rarely ever do show bluffs. I don't like to do that. It's not my style. But we're in a Raz tournament, and I'm bluffing on 6th Street. And Craig is a very thoughtful player, and he's thinking it over, thinking it over, thinking it over. And then he folds, and it was a good bluff. It looked like I had him beat. And I was ready to throw my hand away. But the little devil over there, David Levy, is in the seat next to Craig, and he says, "Show him the bluff, John. Show him the bluff. I know you're bluffing." And for some reason, the devil made me do it. And I showed him the bluff. And Craig looked at me and says, "John, that is so Bush League. I can't believe you did that to me." And I felt bad about it. So I want to hear on radio your official apology. I'm sorry about that, Craig.
Yeah, no worries. It's fun. My memory's going as I get older,
Yeah,
and I remember that one too. And and as Sherry saw, I like to have a couple cocktails when I'm playing poker, and I think I may have had a couple cocktails, that Raz tournament as well. So I apologize for the comment as well. We're just competitors firing against each other.
exactly. And Craig and I have been close friends ever since. We chat once in a while. And You know, there used to be a nickname in poker called the Gentleman of Poker. It was given to Jack Keller. Jack Keller passed away probably 15 years ago. And if anybody should assume that nickname now, it should be you. You're always quite the gentleman, and I love the spirit when you're there at the table, and I like playing against you.
I appreciate that, John. Likewise, likewise. I love playing against you as well. I learned a lot from you. You know, in mixed games, playing some mixed games with you, and seeing some of the strategies that you had in '08 especially, and some of the stud games. And I've definitely learned a lot from you. So thanks for that. And I know, I know our mutual friend, Mr. Jimmy Woods, has also, elevated his game due to you. So you're definitely helping the game become be better. So thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's like you were talking about your advice for new players, and one of the things that you obviously have done well as a new player, not now, but back when you were, is you learn from your mistakes. And if you can't learn from people like me or Phil Hellmuth or anybody that you play with, or realize, oh my God, I made this mistake. If you can't transition to the type of player that learns from mistakes, corrects them, and moves away from them, then you're going to have a rough time advancing in poker. And you do that quite well. Very good.
Thank you.
That's all I have for Mr. Chait.
Well, thank you, John. That was very entertaining and informative, and I appreciate your willingness to join us and add to the conversation. And I'm just going to brag too about Greg that when I mentioned coming on the space, and told him that we were trying to promote you for Hall of Fame induction, he could not say, enough about you and the fact that you should be inducted. So I just wanted you to know that.
Well, that makes me proud. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, buddy. Absolutely.
For sure. And you are probably one of the best gentlemen of poker that I've met at a table for the first time. You were taking care of all of us at the table, and especially us women, and you know we appreciate that.
Oh, well, thank you. Sure. I try my listen. I try my best, and sometimes I toe the line on, especially in today's society, on, acceptable, not acceptable. I don't know. I just like having fun at the table, and you know, I like other people to have fun. I remember I think I was deep in the monster stack a couple of years ago, and I can't tell you how many people with like 4 or 5 tables left came up to me and said that was the most fun I've ever had playing no limit poker. And I was like, that just means so much to me because I want people to have, I want them to compete and compete hard and try and win, but I also want them to have fun. And one of the, I told Chris Johnson, one of the best parts about coming up to Desert Bluffs was that we were in the room. We had 6 full tables for that tournament, and I think there were only 2 or 3 people that had earbuds and headphones on. The rest of the people were interacting, having fun, socializing, talking to each other, getting to know other people. And for me, the most I guess the best part about poker is the fact that there's no boundaries to poker. The demographic in poker is the most diverse demographic out of anything that you could possibly do. You can have a 21-year-old college student, or in some states and country, even an 18-year-old, and you can have an 85-year-old grandmother or grandfather, at the table with you. You can have someone from 50, 60 different countries sitting down with you, and you may not be able to interact with them because there may be a language barrier, but they all know the universal language of poker, bet, call, raise, fold. And getting to meet different people is one of the most rewarding things about when I started playing poker, because I met so many good people in poker. I met so many close friends in poker that I would have never met if I didn't start playing poker. So I'm thankful that I found the game, and I just want to continue promoting it, continue meeting people, good people, and it's fascinating for me because
Well,
there's no
go
other thing
ahead.
you could do that you'll see an 18 to 90-year-old demographic.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I've always looked up to Mike Sexton, and I've always, for me, he is like the bar for poker. Like he is the standard of how you treat people, how you promote the game, how you're a good steward of the game, how you make it fun. And I'm going to tell you, I would put you as one of the top stewards of the game for all of those reasons. And it's very evident how passionate you are about the game of poker, but it's also evident how passionate you are about the atmosphere at the table while you're playing poker. And I think a lot of folks just forget that that's a big part of it too. And it should be fun. And yeah, sometimes when we lose, it's not fun, but guess what? We're losing a lot often, and sometimes we're winning often. And you have to have fun doing either one, in my opinion. And I think you would probably agree. Otherwise, it's going to be a miserable trail of poker.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And it's one of the things that kind of steers me away from playing, the higher no limits. I played a couple of them. I'll play the main event every year, but it's a different. It's not the fact that I don't want to compete. It's just a different atmosphere. It's scarves. It's headphones. It's masks. It's no talking. It's staring down people. It's tanking. It's all the stuff that I do not like about poker. And it's like you're playing the best of the best, and it's just like, well, I don't really need to do that. Like I can have fun and play other things that don't really have that atmosphere. So yeah,
Right on. Right
as,
on.
atmosphere is huge for sure.
Right on. Okay, I like to do a little thing I called rapid fire. I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm going to say two options, and you can pick one or the other or say the word pass.
Okay,
Beer or wine?
wine.
Pizza or burgers?
Ooh, it's a tough one. East Coast pizza because I
Uh,
grew up in Jersey, so
I love it. I'm a pizza girl from Chicago myself. Boxers or briefs?
boxers,
Mountains or beach?
beach.
Chevy or Ford?
Ooh. Well, my fiance has a Ford, so I would have to go with Ford.
Cook or dishes?
Cook.
I love it. Thank you for playing. Donna, do you have some questions?
Not right now.
Poor Donna. She was already asleep, and I had to call her to remind her and wake her up. So, uh, we're just throwing this together a little bit, and it's okay.
But I just wanted to say that hearing you two speak regarding one another was truly inspiring, and it was said with the utmost respect. Now, if that was anybody else, then I would have said, stop blowing smoke up each other's asses. But, but, but seriously, you two, absolutely amazing gentlemen, and one day I hope that I could meet both of you.
Oh, I appreciate
Truly,
that, Doc.
truly amazing and truly inspirational. Not many of you left, but thank you for that.
Okay, tell us. You've traveled the world playing poker. Do you have a favorite poker room outside of the United States?
So it's funny. It's funny, Sherry. My poker kind of travels are really confined to the World Series for 6 weeks during the summer, and then we used to have a lot of you know of series in LA because we had Hawaiian Gardens, we had Commerce Casino, and we had Bicycle Club. So we had three casinos that put on a bunch of different series. The only place that I've played outside of the United States this past summer, I played an event at the EPT Barcelona, and that was a fun one because Barcelona is a fun city, and the turnout for that was great. And I hear I should travel more for poker because people tell me that the EPTs are great, and some of the other tours are great as well. But there's so much good poker in the Southwest. Like for me, it's just okay. I can hop in my car and go to Vegas. I can go, here. I can go there. I played in Florida. Hard Rock was a great room that I played in down in Seminole and in Fort Lauderdale. And those are probably, I guess, the two that I would say stick out.
Awesome. Um, I see Barry joined us as a speaker. Barry, I don't know if you know Craig or not, but go ahead, bud.
Hey Craig, how you doing? Yeah, I know Craig. We've played together over the years, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So everyone was saying such nice things about him. I was trying to think of something not nice to say, but I ain't got nothing. So always a pleasure playing with him. Good to see you, Craig.
Good to see you as well.
Barry's one of our favorites here in the spaces. He started with me and Donna back last year about coming on this. Well, I guess it was the end of March, April. We got all of us kind of got started in spaces together. So Barry used to hold like marathon spaces, but he's taking a break now and just kind of chilling these days. So I'm glad you joined us, Barry.
Yeah, and I'm a bit gobsmacked that Barry can't think of anything not nice to say because he throws them axes.
He throws the hatchets.
Yep, he throws hatchets. So
Yeah,
you
I think
must be one in a million.
the last time I remember playing was someone sent me an article from 2019. It was 2018. I finished second down at the Hard Rock in Florida, and I came back a year later and I won the same tournament. And Craig happened to be at that final table. So that's my
Yeah,
last recollection.
yeah, that was November when I went down. My folks are actually in Delray, Florida, and I went down to visit them, and they're about 35 minutes from Hard Rock, and I played some of the No Limits and the WPT there.
Awesome. It's so fun when friends meet up in a space and just, chit chat and we get a little bird's eye view of your relationships. It's awesome. Do you have any plans on writing a book?
Me?
Yes.
No, 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 no plans. A couple of people had asked me about some mixed game stuff, but yeah, for me, I always tell people they're like, "You're a professional." I'm like, I'm more of a high level amateur because it's not my primary source of it. Like I would consider it my primary source of income if I was a professional, and I do have a corporate job that I've had for 21 years, which it allows me to play and have the flexibility, to travel for poker and play different tournaments and stuff.
Awesome. Tell us, I you were telling us you were engaged when I met you last week. When's the wedding?
So we're looking at fall of 2025. We're looking at fall of next year. I guess post COVID, the kind of time frame is like 12 to 15 months to book a wedding venue right now. So we're looking at a couple venues. We're looking at maybe September, October of next year is when we're looking for.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
I'm,
you.
I'm
Thank
sure that's going to be an amazing event and you'll be on your merry way, as they say.
you.
Now, are there any poker players no longer with us or still with us that you have not had a chance to play with that you would look forward to playing against as an opponent?
Geez. That's a good question. I mean, I have actually played with almost everybody between the WPTs and smaller field mixed tournaments. I think Doyle is the only one that I really haven't played with, and I would have, I'd love to play with him.
Right.
Uh, I got to play with Mike Sexton in a WPT and got to know him a little bit. We had some dinners and played a little golf. But you name, a high level player on that people know about. I think I played with them. I think I played with all the Phils. I played with Phil Hellmuth. I played with Daniel Negreanu. So, yeah, it's a long list of of the people
Right,
that.
right. I'm sure. Are there
Yeah.
any that you just always enjoy, like playing against, that you just can't wait for that to happen? Are there some that you're just thrilled to play against?
Um, there's a couple where I know that I sit down. It's gonna be a fast day, uh, because we're gonna have so much fun playing. I really enjoy playing with Ari Angle. We play a lot of mix together and a little bit of no limit. But there's not a lot of people that I don't get along with. So like, most of the time seems like it goes fairly quickly. And they say, when you're having a good time, time flies. And I'll look up at the clock and I'm like, oh man, we're at another break already. And those 10 hours, or whatever, however many hours you're playing for a day to bag to day two or day three, it's funny, when you're sitting at a table with people that you like and you're enjoying, interacting and engaging with. It seems like the time goes by a lot quicker than people that you may not like, that you're just like, ugh. And you just keep looking at the clock and you're like, is our table breaking yet? I want a new set of players. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. So it's different. Like, the mixed game community is so great. Like, I love playing, with all those guys, and they're all just super fun. The conversations are great. I've been fortunate enough to play. I think I played 10 events at the Poker Go Studio last year. All the stuff. So yeah,
All right, let's talk about your main event um, appearances. How many times have you played the main event?
okay. So I played the main event. Let's see. I think I played it five. I want to say 5 or 6 times.
All right, and how deep is your deepest run?
So I finished my deepest run is I cashed and I finished like 1,040 somethings, maybe in like the low thousands.
Nice. And what do you think of that experience? Like, did you love it? I know it's a different, like you were saying, the attitudes of your opponents are different as far as earplugs and, you know, the solace player mode. What can you give us a bird's eye view of what that experience is like?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's special. I mean, it's a special tournament. You're getting the biggest field of the year, all coming together, from all different countries, all different age demographics, and it is like it's so deep, and you have so much play and so much room to maneuver. That's another tournament where you never feel rushed. You start with however many, 600 big blinds at this point. I don't know. I think they start you with 60K, and they start at 1-1.
Right.
So so it's those type of tournaments. They have just a different feel to them. The WPT main events, the WSOP main event. It's a different kind of electricity. Like, you can tell people are happy to be there. Especially the satellite winners, that kind of just checked off a bucket list item, and it's fun. Like, that is a super super fun tournament. I enjoy the grind of it. I haven't had much success in it, but it's definitely been fun to play it.
Well, and many have that hope and dream every year. And it's always fun to hear like a newbie's experience. But it's also, I think, fun and important to hear those that have played it 5 or 6 or 10 times, whatever it is. And you mentioned Ari's name, and he is such a delight. I am just one of his biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ari is absolutely fantastic, for poker. He's fantastic for every table he plays at. He's jovial and social, and you never see him get out of line. He never gets upset, and it's probably because he runs better than everyone else in the poker world combined when it comes to all ins. So I probably wouldn't have much to be upset about either. But yeah, he's so nice. He's just, yeah.
As
He's
my daughter would say, he is shitting shamrocks, and it's awesome.
yeah, he definitely made a deal with the devil. That's for sure. Well, I think there's a Brendan Fraser movie years ago when he made the deal with the devil to get those wishes, and I think Ari might have done the same thing.
I love that. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, speaking of Ari, I was just with him at the Borgata because they had a couple of mixed games. They had an Omaha Hello and a Hose just the day before yesterday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And someone put a tweet out due to today's political climate. Anyone who knocks out Ari Engel from a tournament, they're going to view it as an anti-Semitic hate crime. So I showed him that tweet, and he busted out laughing. It was funny. So and then he got knocked out, but it was hilarious. Great guy.
Great guy. Great guy. And I love that he found the sense of humor for that comment, too. He's awesome. Donna, any more questions or comments left?
No, my darling, I'm hanging in there.
That's
Just
okay. I just don't want you to think I'm forgetting about you. I'm just kind of letting you quietly be because I know the situation. But I also don't want it to seem like I'm forgetting about you.
no, you can
And
forget about me all you want.
I hear you. I just want to let everybody know that's in the space right now. If you'd like to come up and ask a question or have a comment for us, please request in that bottom left corner. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And I want to make two announcements. One, Poker Fuse is sponsoring a coordinated social media campaign on Tuesday, May 7th, which is designed to get the attention of lawmakers in Pennsylvania, asking them to support House Bill 2078, which is legislation authorizing Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board to enter a shared liquidity agreement with other states. Poker Fuse is asking you to tweet on Tuesday to key lawmakers in Pennsylvania. And I've tweeted the list of those people earlier today, so you can find the list of who you should tweet on Tuesday in support of that. House Bill 2078, and I'll do a reminder tweet on Tuesday. So if we want to get the, online poker rocking and rolling in more states, we got to, get it up to par in the states that it's already in. The second announcement is there's a Space Jam poker tournament or league that's being put together with Avi. I see him in the space, and Hex and Chase and Rob Coons helping with that on ACR. So if you're interested, you can reach out to any one of those gentlemen and they'll get you all the information you need to play tomorrow. I believe that's at 7 o'clock Eastern. If you want to play, they're doing a $33 tournament tomorrow. It's going to be kind of a league. Um, for Spaces people. So if you want to join it, folks, contact and reach out to one of them. If you missed any of that information, you can hear it on replay or just message me and I'll give you the names personally of who to contact. So thank you for letting me clean house a little bit with that information. And I am waiting. I thought somebody else was going to join us, but I think they're not. So, Craig, tell us what you're going to play this summer. I know it's all the mixed events probably, but is there one that you're like looking most forward to?
Yeah, there's definitely two or three that I'm looking most forward to, and that's the 10K horse because I have final tabled that twice and I have not closed it out yet. I finished second 2 years ago, and I think fifth or sixth a couple years before that. So that's definitely on the list. The 10K dealer's choice I always love because you get to choose between 20-ish games. So it's just always changing on the fly. You got to be super alert. Figure can't lose track of the games. And I would say 25K horse is two. So that's three tournaments, and probably the 10K single draw. I think are the four of them really looking forward to. I mean, I'm looking forward to battling every day, but those would be my top four, I think.
Awesome. Do you have any favorite restaurants that are a must go to in Vegas?
Oh shoot, what genre of food? They have so many.
Whatever is your favorite, I guess. Like
Um,
Donna and I were there for the WPT in December, and we got turned on to a um, Japanese restaurant that I will never not go to every time I go to Vegas.
Mushashe.
Yes, is it Masashi, Masushi? I got to look it up.
Good. I
But
don't
go
know,
ahead,
but
Greg. Do you have
oh,
any favorites?
yeah. There's a couple of Venetian that are really good. Wakuda is a good Japanese place. Carbone over at Aria is great for Italian food, and there's a couple that are just slipping my mind right now. But if you go off strip, on Spring Mountain, and you get into Chinatown, there are some unbelievable Vietnamese restaurants, hot pot, and sushi places on Spring Mountain. So there's Carbone's definitely one of my favorites uh, in Vegas.
I have not had the pleasure, but I will put that on my list of places to go. Tell us, if somebody was just going to Vegas for the first time, what would you say, besides poker, of course, what would you say are some of the must sees in Vegas for a first timer?
In Vegas, it gets under publicized. I actually had a really good time at the Mob Museum. Uh,
I love the Mob Museum, but I'm from Chicago, so it's sort of a natural fit. But go ahead.
yeah, no, I thought the Mob Museum, the history of it was very interesting, and you don't have to spend a lot of time there. You just spend an hour or two. I think they reopened the Pinball Hall of Fame,
They
so
did.
yeah, so if you're a pinball fan and you want to do that, I think Fremont Street is a must for a first timer, just to check out the atmosphere and check out kind of old town Vegas. Those are probably three things that but to check out in Vegas. If you like hiking, you can go up to Red Rock and take a ride up there, and they have some pretty nice hikes up in the Red Rock Mountains.
They certainly do. It's one of my favorite places to go. I do a little bit of photography, so I definitely love going to Red Rocks. Have you been to the new Sphere for a show or anything yet? Tour?
I haven't been to the Sphere yet. I know multiple people that have been to the U2 show when they had the residency there, and then I also know some people that saw the actual, I guess, movie that they the daily movie that they do there, and they said it was pretty fascinating because, like, it doesn't matter where you sit, you just look in any different direction, there's something else going on. Like, so it was just, they said it was pretty great.
Yeah, I've
Just
heard nothing but great things about it. Honestly, I can't wait.
yeah.
Tell me a favorite story of yours in the poker world. Do you have a favorite story, like something that just warms your heart when you think about it?
uh Man, it's a good question. It's weird. Like, so I think one of my favorite stories is the one I told you earlier. Is that poker kind of bailed me out of a tough situation. And it was there, and I was kind of like figuring out. All right, well, if this 1K is gone, what am I gonna do next? Like, probably have to figure something else out. And it was just like, all right, well, 16 hours later, I have X amount of dollars, so I don't think it's necessarily a individual story. Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. In the 10K horse two years ago, I was playing, and we were in the money, so I think we were deep in day two, maybe. And I was short stacked after taking a couple beats here and there, and I had raised Matt Glance's big blinds, and I think I had like ace high. I completely airballed the flop. Matt ended up not betting any at any point in the hand, And we get to the river, and Matt just smiles at me, and I know Matt pretty well. He's like, "You're gonna win," and I show him ace high. I win that hand, and switch tables, and I get to Seventh Street against Jerry Wong in a stud hand, and I have aces. Jerry obviously has a big draw, and he completely whiffs his draw. I end up surviving that, and then a couple hands later against Yuri, I would butcher his name. He's the really good Brazilian kid, great hair, good mustache.
I know
Like
exactly who you're talking about.
Yuri-
And I'm going to tell you, I'm horrible with names.
it's like Yuri. It's a D. It starts with a D.
Yes, I know
Uh,
exactly who you're talking
and,
about.
and so we're playing Raz, in a hand of Raz, and Yuri's in a steal spot in Raz, and I have a pair, and I just have no chips left, and I was supposed to bust that tournament like 18th or 19th. And I just go with it, and I end up making a better low than Yuri in the hand, and it was just like a lot of things had to go right. So sometimes you think about only the bad beats, and you don't remember the good beats that you have. And I try and keep things in perspective where you know, in the majority of the tournaments I've went deep in, there's something good that happened that probably shouldn't have happened. And everyone's so quick to, including myself, oh my God, this happened. I had this hand here and I was 85% and, I didn't hold. And, at the end of the day, hopefully it kind of evens out for you. Maybe it doesn't, but that was a good beat story where, it ended up propelling me to second place. I got heads up against a buddy of mine,
Andrew.
yeah, Andrea, and we battled out till about 3 in the morning with Norm, Norman Chad on the commentary. Kept him up late that night. But that was a good one.
I love that.
That was a good story. But yeah, the story I told you, like it's just like you run well and you play well for a 3 or 4 day period, and you can run into life changing money for not a lot, big investment, especially you satellite it into something. You see people, that turn a $100 satellite into, a lot of money, and I think that's great. I think people being able to, play responsibly, and have a chance to, make money that will make an impact on their life, is great.
It's a great opportunity, you know, if you can grab that golden ring and cash in on it. It's a great opportunity. And of course, you got to keep your senses about you and gamble safely and, um, you know, and hopefully it'll all work out in the end, right? All your hard work pays off.
Yeah, that's the end game, is that you put the work in and the time, you get the experience. So like when those big spots come up, you know exactly what you want to do. There's no uncertainty in your mind in a certain spot where you're like, well, this is a really big spot. I don't know. Should I go for it? Should I not go for it? Should I fold? Should I call? Like you'll have the experience, you'll have the knowledge, you'll have done the work already where you're ready for that specific spot to come up. And you're just like, you know what? I got this. I know exactly what I want to do against this specific opponent. And you know what? You trust yourself, and it may work, it may not work, but I'm always going to just go with my gut. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'd rather be wrong, than just kind of never know. Right. Like it's like, if you don't make that tough call and your opponent doesn't show you the hand, you're kind of just thinking about it. And if you trust yourself and you're just like, all right, I trust my game, I trust my reads, I trust the work I put in, whatever happens with the runouts and the cards, then that's not in your control.
I think those are very wise words that I think many of us can have on a record replay, and to listen to that often, because sometimes we just get caught up on focusing on the wrong things. And, that old saying, keep it simple, stupid. Like, let it go, learn from it, move on, whatever the case is. But those words certainly could be replayed for all of us on a regular. Well, we typically try to keep these interviews about an hour or so. So I think I'm going to let you off the hook and I appreciate
Okay.
you so much. I had so much fun playing poker with you last week and helping to open that poker room up in Kennewick, Washington. And I hope our paths cross again. And I also want to say that this is going to be your year to win the bracelet.
Oh, thanks for that. I hope so. I hope so. I want. It's weird. Like, I want one, and I know people have talked about how many bracelets are out in the world these days, and there's online bracelets. They gave them out in the Bahamas. They do this. They did that. You know what? I still want one. Like, I don't care if there's 200 bracelets out there this year. I still want a bracelet.
Well, and you've come close. Haven't you finished in second place twice in a bracelet event?
I did. My kryptonite is Dylan Weissman, who's a very capable and very fantastic player who started to learn the mix games. He's a PLO wizard. He created Sims and did all. He's a great PLO player. He's into mix games and no limit. And I finished second to Dylan in a 1K PLO tournament, ironically, which I kind of just played just to play, and it was the PLO Giant during the COVID year when we had the World Series of Poker in the fall.
Right.
And then I finished second to Andrew in a World Series tournament, and I also finished second to Dylan in October. I think, yeah, October in a Poker Go mixed tournament in Dealer's Choice. He beat me heads up again. So yeah, Dylan's been my kryptonite heads up.
So
So
the moral to this story is I'm going to bring Sage with me to Vegas. And if you're at a table with him, I'm going to be somewhere and you're going to text me, bring the sage, and we're going to sage the area. That's what we're
sounds
doing. Well, again, I appreciate you, Don. Any last words, hon?
No, just thank you, Craig, for coming on. It's been really entertaining, and I've really enjoyed listening to you. And very best of luck getting that bracelet. I'm sure it'll be this year for sure.
ladies, I appreciate it, and good luck to you guys in the trenches. And I hope you guys have some big success coming your way as well.
Well, thank you. And thank you to our listeners and the folks that'll listen to this recording in the future. We appreciate all of you and have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks, Barry.
You as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, Craig.